The Texas Department of Transportation Odessa District welcomes you to this virtual public meeting. This presentation will provide information on the proposed Loop 338 project. This is a pre-recorded presentation made available online on July 27, 2023. Because safety is a priority at TxDOT, we begin each meeting with a safety minute. You may have heard of TxDOT's End the Streak campaign, but what does that mean? The last deathless day on Texas roadways was November 7, 2000. That means for nearly 22 years, at least one person has died every single day. We all have a part to play in changing that. This is a reminder to end the streak of deaths on Texas roadways. We need drivers and passengers to act more responsibly and help us reach our goal of 0 deaths by 2050. Texans can play a major role in ending fatal crashes with a few simple driving habits. Wear seatbelts, drive the speed limit, put away the phone and other distractions, and never drive under the influence of alcohol or drugs. Please do your part and share this message with your friends and family. This presentation will provide an overview of the Loop 338 corridor and why improvements are being proposed, a review of the proposed improvements, and how you can provide input into the planning process. Towards the end of the presentation, there are instructions on how to submit questions and comments. Please take the time to review the material presented throughout the virtual public meeting webpage and provide your input where prompted. Your comments are an important part of this process, and the project team will consider them for design refinements where feasible. You are encouraged to talk to your neighbors and refer them to TxDOT so they may also make comments and be included in this process. The proposed project would include widening Loop 338 from East Yukon Road to US 385 North for a distance of approximately 5 miles. The project limits are within Ector County with portions within Odessa city limits. TxDOT realizes the corridor is experiencing growth and operational deficiencies, which results in reduced mobility and safety and the need for improved connectivity. So to address these needs, TxDOT's goal with the proposed improvements is to identify a long-term solution that improves safety, mobility, and connectivity along the corridor. Now let's talk about Loop 338 as it exists today. Generally, between East Yukon Road and US 385 North, Loop 338 is a 4-lane highway with 2 lanes in each direction. The existing right-of-way width is approximately 200 feet. Loop 338 intersects with Grandview Avenue, 87th Street, and 100th Street at ground level. TxDOT proposes to widen Loop 338 from East Yukon Road to US 385 North. This would involve the following additions to the corridor: 2-lane, one-way frontage roads in each direction, new overpasses at Grandview Avenue, 87th Street, and 100th Street with a signalized intersection on the ground level, entrance and exit ramps between major intersections for access to the Loop 338 main lanes, a 10-foot shared-use path to accommodate bicyclists and pedestrians located on the outside of the frontage roads, grassy medians with ditches for drainage. On the screen is the proposed typical section matching this description. To improve safety, mobility, and connectivity, TxDOT is proposing to add 3 overpasses at Grandview Avenue, 87th Street, and 100th Street. An overpass would improve intersection safety, provide uninterrupted traffic flow on the main lanes, and allow for greater regional connectivity. This slide shows a snapshot of the proposed design, including the overpass at 87th Street. For virtual attendees, the draft schematic design is available for download on www.txdot.gov as described later in this presentation. We recommend that you download the schematics to zoom in and out and easily see project details. The legend on the schematics will help identify what the various colors and lines represent. Subject to final design considerations, the proposed project would require additional right-of-way. This would include the acquisition of approximately 200 feet of right-of-way along Loop 338, resulting in a proposed right-of-way footprint that is primarily 400 feet wide. Although additional right-of-way would be required, no residential or non-residential structures are anticipated to be displaced at this time. Acquisition and relocation assistance would be in accordance with the Uniform Relocation Assistance and Real Properties Acquisitions Policy Act of 1970 as amended. All proposed improvements are draft and subject to change. Final decisions have yet to be made regarding the design or right-of-way footprint. Access the landowner's Bill of Rights and other resources by visiting www.TxDOT.gov and keyword search landowner rights. Materials are available for download in English and Spanish. The project team identified environmental constraints early in the project development process to avoid or minimize impacts on environmental resources. Constraints can include resources such as parklands, wetlands, and pipelines. It is critical that we identify all potential constraints in the project area. This slide shows a snapshot of our prepared environmental constraints map. You can easily view this map as one of the available downloads on the virtual public meeting webpage. With any project that will or has the potential to receive federal funds, TxDOT is required to evaluate the potential environmental constraints of the proposed project. Therefore, the project is being conducted in accordance with the National Environmental Policy Act of 1969, otherwise known as NEPA. The NEPA process results in documentation that is provided to decision makers so they have all the data that is needed to make an informed decision if the project should proceed. In accordance with NEPA, the environmental process identifies environmental resources in the project area and assesses potential impacts the project could have on the human and natural environment. This process includes studies of water, traffic noise, threatened and endangered species, and social and community resources, among many other considerations. These studies result in the preparation of multiple environmental technical reports. TxDOT would avoid or minimize and mitigate impacts to the greatest extent feasible. This slide provides a brief overview of the project schedule. We began work in 2022. After preparing the schematic design earlier this year, we are now holding this virtual public meeting to request feedback from the community. Next, we will work on our environmental studies and continue to refine the schematic design. We anticipate receiving schematic approval and environmental clearance in late 2024. Advancement to right-of-way acquisition, utility adjustments, detailed design, and project construction is contingent upon the results of the environmental process and funding availability. From here, the project team will take the input received from this meeting into account. The project team will collect and analyze additional data and refine the proposed roadway design. We are committed to developing this project in collaboration with the community to meet the project's goals while minimizing community impacts. Let's make sure you know how to access the virtual public meeting materials. On www.TxDOT.gov, keyword search loop 338 from East Yukon Road to US 385 North, you can find all the materials presented in this virtual public meeting, including this presentation, draft schematics, an environmental constraints map, and an online comment form. You may download and review the materials at your convenience. You may also access the project webpage by scanning this QR code with your electronic device. If you need technical assistance, please contact the project team at 210-864-0049. You may submit comments by using the comment form found on the project's webpage in the Download section. You can email your comments to gabriel.ramirez@TxDOT.gov or mail your comments to the address noted on the screen. Questions or comments may be submitted to TxDOT and the project team at any time during project development. However, to be included in the official public meeting record, all comments must be received or postmarked by Friday, August 11th, 2023. If you have any additional questions, please contact Gabriel Ramirez at 432-498-4645. Thank you for participating in this virtual public meeting. This concludes our presentation.